Hello and welcome to the Health Bar Half Full podcast, the podcast that makes you feel good about liking games. 2024 happened. We survived. I can't believe it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about games in 2024, and we're going to talk about life in 2024, and that's the entirety of today's show. My name is Randy Fluharty. I'm your host. I didn't say that last week. I'm going to say it this week. I'm Randy Fluharty. With me, as always, I can say as always because we've done this 3 times now, Adam McDermott, YouTube sensation.
But hi.
Yes.
Keep saying it until it's true.
Yes, I'm going to keep saying it until it becomes a reality because you deserve more popularity than you have, even though still relatively popular in the grand scheme of things, I think.
It's doing well.
Yeah.
It's doing well.
Yeah.
But I liked it, like long term. I'm around like 40 something thousand subscribers. Long term, I'd love to get to 100,000. That's the population of my home city.
There you go.
In the next decade, that's what I want to get to.
Well, I'm a subscriber. So if I could subscribe more than once, I would. And if anyone is listening, go to Adam McDermott on YouTube and subscribe. But you've already done that probably if you're listening to this. Anyway, Adam, how you doing?
I'm well. I told you earlier, I'm fighting an eye infection and a throat infection. So
Decidedly
that's why
not
I'm
well.
I'm in the morning gown,
Yeah.
folks. I'm hot and I'm cold. I'm feeling a bit weird.
Yeah, and this is how I look by default, so I apologize for that. That's just kind of how it rolls around here, the unemployed dad life. You just find the clothes that fit and don't smell, and you put them on, and that's all you got time for.
Do you do the thing of you find clothes, you just sniff them and go,
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. That's been like that for like more than a decade, maybe forever. How long have I been an adult? That's basically when have I been doing my own laundry? There's the occasional time where I'll feel ambitious. Oh, I'm going to put stuff away. And I do it for like a week. I'm like, this sucks. I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah.
I'm a bit more organized than that.
Yeah. I wish I was. I envy you. All right. So other than being sick, how you doing?
Getting a bit tired. This is facial hair. I'm growing it in for a video about Death Stranding. So I start off clean shaven, and because the game is you're out in the wilderness the whole time. And it's a very long platinum. It's about 100 hours. I thought,
Wow.
nice passage of time to show would be the beard, but now it's gotten a bit too far. I know yours is about this thickness as well.
Yeah.
But it's gotten too far now. It's affecting my sleep. When I put my head down on the pillow, I'm like, oh, I don't like that.
Oh yeah. And when I eat, I get hair in my mouth sometimes when my mustache is a little bit longer than yours.
Yeah,
I need to keep.
I find that so gross.
Yeah, it's
and
terrible.
I was over the Christmas period, I was having pints of Guinness, and it is so rotten to have the creamy head get stuck in the just.
Yogurt is a rough one for me. It's terrible. It gets in there, and if you have a sandwich and like it pushes the side, because this is deceptively not connected. I mean, it is connected a little bit, but there's also like a lot of hair there, and when I eat, it kind of goes into my mouth. That's not the topic of today's podcast, is facial hair woes, but we do have them. Mine is strictly laziness, though. I don't have an excuse other than like, I should clean this up, and I haven't. Maybe next week, or 2 weeks from now. We'll see.
Do you do any beard oils or stuff?
I used to, and then I have this bad habit of when I run out of stuff, I just don't replace it. I find alternatives. Like right now, I'm out of body wash as of like a couple days ago. I've been using shampoo to wash my body. Which
you can use them like just hand soap works too. It's all
I don't have any of that either. I use like shampoo to wash my hands. It's just
that's too far.
Yeah, like I'm just too lazy to go to the store and get it done. But then once I do, everything's fine. I go back to normal. But there's definitely a grace period that's a little rough, and especially with the holidays, where like I've been ultra daddy duty right now because like the kids aren't in school. It's just been finding the time to get stuff done, and I haven't been able to do it. Happens. Not a big deal.
Yeah, walk me through. What's your kind of starting from Christmas Eve.
Yep.
How did your days go all the way up until New Year's Day?
All right. So I have 2 step kids that are older, so they're pretty much a non-factor, but I've got a 3-year-old son who goes to preschool normally, but obviously during the holidays, the preschool is not there. My wife, very much employed, me not. So I kind of the daddy duty fell on me, so it was just me and my 3-year-old son, kind of all day. And she's a nurse, so she works night shift. She just does 12-hour shifts at night, so she's gone pretty much. And then it's just me and him. We just hang out, and we discovered that he loves bowling. He's obsessed with it. He has a bowling toy. He's been watching pro bowling. I've been kind of getting into it because I didn't know how much depth was in pro bowling, so that was fun. We've been playing keeping it on topic with games, we've been playing a pro bowling video game that he's been kind of into. But that's mainly my days up until he went back today officially is when his first day back, and it's just been me and him hanging out.
Do you have extended family? 'Cause I know in America it's very far apart. Do you have any family show over Christmas Day, or would you go to
Well,
someplace else?
we were going to, and then everyone got sick, so we had to cancel. We had to postpone plans. It's not like we're not going to do something at some point, but every time, because again with the work schedules, my mother's a medical professional as well, so it's this like, okay, we have one weekend every once in a blue moon where everybody is not working, and that weekend everyone was sick, so we had to push it off.
Damn.
Not a
So
big deal though.
you relatively quiet then
Oh yeah,
holidays.
oh yeah. It was pretty, yeah, which is kind of the way I like it. I'm fairly laid back, low. I'm not that big into chaos and big get-togethers, so I'm okay with the quiet evening at home. My wife on Christmas Eve made a nice chicken and biscuit dinner. Christmas morning she made a nice bacon and pancakes breakfast. We opened presents.
How did you go from working nights to being awake
So
during the day?
she had Christmas night that she had to work, so she was able to wake up Christmas morning, spend Christmas morning with us, and then go to bed and get ready for
Oh,
work.
okay.
So we fortunately had that her schedule this week crossed just enough that we were able to make that happen, which was good. She got to see presents get open and everything.
And what age are the two stepkids?
Well, are you sitting down? I can see you. You are sitting down. So all right, let me do the math here. 21? No, 20. 20 and 15 are the two stepkids.
What?
I'm revealing too much about my wife here, but I will say like she was very young when she had her first two kids.
Okay, yeah. I am. I met a girl at the bar a few days ago,
Yeah, my wife is
and
57. I didn't mention that. I'm joking.
yeah, but I met this girl at the bar, and she's like, "Oh yeah, and I have a kid. He's 14," and I immediately in my head go,
Yeah,
"Wait a
let's
second,
do the math.
wait." I was like, "What, you haven't met when you were like 10?" He's like, and as you can see me trying to do this, and she
Yeah.
goes, "I'm 34." I was like, "Okay, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
physiologically it's possible, but
sure,
especially
yeah,
this generation, it's less common to have older children at this age, right? I know
yeah."
friends that are approaching or are in their 40s that are like, yeah, I hope to have kids someday. I'm like, dude,
Someday is
someday is approaching.
today.
It's coming. Either that or you're going to have to find a partner that is questionably younger than you in order to make that happen.
I don't know. As long as they're over, I kind of like. Do you know when we hear stories of Leonardo DiCaprio and he's like, "Oh, with another 23-year-old,"
Yeah.
and this year, like, ew, and then you go, I don't know. They know what they're doing. The women aren't, innocent. They know what they're getting in
Yeah, I
for. They
mean,
know
he's
what.
not breaking a law. So there's that for you.
Yeah.
It's not my
And
thing.
if they were all like just 18, I'm like, Leo, what are you
Yeah,
doing here,
come on,
buddy?
man. Can't wait a couple years.
But I don't know. The girls, they're going to like sail around in yachts for a couple of years, and he'll take care of them, and then after that, they can go off and actually find a real husband.
Yeah, I mean, we
Ah,
are not qualified to make an absolute unilateral decision about that opinion. However, I'm not thrilled about the age gap thing personally, but it's none of my business. If you're going to do that and you're not breaking a law, more power to you.
I think there's 13 years between one of my aunts and uncles, and I'm like, yeah, works for them.
If it works for them, if it works for them, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. How about 2024? How about it?
Uh,
in one sentence or less. Tell me about 2024.
long. I know years seem getting longer and longer for me.
It was a leap year, so I think, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah, that was that extra day,
Yeah,
really.
it really slowed things down. I'm like, man, couldn't you just skip that one this year? Really
I
need
know
to get out of here.
some years it feels like it didn't go by fast. See, I think if you're in a routine and you're doing the same thing week in week out, the year goes by rather fast.
Yeah.
But if like I was, half my year was living in Asia, so every day felt like there was new experiences, new memories. So for me, this year has been quite long.
So I anticipated that being your predominant thing that you wanted to contribute, and I don't want to spoil it because I know you have videos on this, so I don't want to spoil that if there are people out there that. But I do want to pick your brain about that as much as you're willing to share. So walk me through it
Sure.
if you're willing.
My entire 6 months in
No, no,
Asia.
no. Like, give me the highlights, or just like what prompted it, like how was it, and some
Oh, what
highlights.
I'd love to say what prompted is, a deep love of the culture. But it's basically like, where in the world can I have my own place that doesn't cost about 2 grand a month? That would be nice.
Yeah,
And then you
that's
kind of
what
go like,
prompted it.
well, that was the initial, yeah.
Okay.
That's you're just like, where in the world can we do this? And then also, like there's also I need to have a couch or a chair. I need to have a TV. I need to be able to set up for
Yeah,
videos.
yeah,
So that's it. And then I was able to did Spain one time, and then Croatia is still pretty like affordable. But in Europe, you have to time which part of the year you're going. Like I went to Spain in February and was just I'd wake up and you could see the fog breath. So I
ooh,
went, mm. So then you find over in kind of Southeast Asia, it's just warm all year round. It's never cold. It's sunny or sometimes a bit smoky, but in general. So I was like, okay, so how much apartments going for there? It's like €300, 350. It's like that's fantastic,
yeah.
and I can be warm. Okay, let's go learn about these places.
You're selling me on this.
Yeah, turns out they're actually quite wonderful. And over the years, I developed a bit of fascination with other places around the world. So I went off to northern Thailand, a city called Chiang Mai. That would have been my second time going there. I was able to, the whole city is like a square shape to it. So it's very simple to orientate yourself.
Okay.
I already knew where to go. I knew what to do, made some friends, got back into the swing of things. Was like, this, I got my own place. I got my own place. I got a nice little balcony. I got a good view. All the good food is around my little block. This is fantastic. Then I got injured by falling into a sewer. So
Oh,
had to go to hospital for six
you
weeks.
fell into it. Like, were you just walking down the street and there was a manhole open?
I decided to take a shortcut on a night out.
Okay.
On my way home, I turned. I was like, I could see, I got a tuk tuk back with a couple of friends, and it was like they're going that way. I'm going. I would just get the tuk off here. You can go there, and I'll walk back over here. And I could see my apartment there, and I was like, instead of going that way, what if I just go this way?
Not to
So,
completely derail, but I have more questions about this. Did you fall into the sewer all the way?
so imagine you're walking, and then it was just kind of like a sheer drop
Yeah. And that's
of
what you did?
about. Yeah, that's what I did because
Wow.
it was dark. It looked like an alleyway. So just like walking, 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 and just like the legs go from under you. It's like
How
imagine if there's a
far?
manhole cover. Oh geez, about like 6 foot.
That's not nothing. In the dark when you're not expecting it? I,
Yeah, I literally just freaked me the fuck out. I was like,
wow.
Where am I? Why am I wet?
I've missed a
What?
step in my home before and I'm like, "Oh, and this is the end." And you
Yeah,
you
so I
fell into
got myself out.
in a strange city in
Like,
the
okay,
darkness of night.
yeah, I'm kind of covered in stuff. I can see him over. I'm bleeding
Oh, so that's where
from
that
my,
was my next
shin.
question. You were injured. How severe
Yeah.
was the injury? Content warning? Maybe.
When I showed a picture of it, I did this recent video called "Looking Back 2024" and
Okay.
mentioned this. I had to blur the image.
Okay. All right.
It's like that thick into the shin
Oh, that's
was the
terrible.
like, and there was two of them. It was like two just chunks taken
Wow.
out,
But you didn't. Did you
and
break
then
something?
nothing broken.
Oh, that's good.
Which was a shock. It was one of those injuries when I walked into the emergency department. was like, "Hey, um, this happens," and they both immediately stand up and their eyes get wide. They're like, "Oh," um, and then they're like, "Sit down," and then they're like, "What's your name?" They're doing the blood pressure, and like, "We will see you immediately." I was like, "You say sewer?" I was like, "Okay, we need to clean everything."
Oh, I have so many
And then
questions. All right.
go on.
So, what about how long into your stay was this?
About 12 days.
Wow. All right.
So
So
I
not.
arrived, I left my debit card in the Bangkok airport. So that didn't come with me, so I had to order a new debit card and wait on that to arrive. Then I met a friend who we went off to like another place and did tipsy tubing, which is you float down a river while drinking.
In the
That
world?
was great fun. They put a bar at the end of it with a boxing ring.
Uh,
Great idea.
Wait,
Rule number one.
what's with boxers in it, presumably?
Oh no, no, the people who've been out all day drinking
No.
and floating down the river fight each other.
All right. And this is
Yeah,
not
they give you
Europe?
head. No, no, this is not Europe. So, yeah, rule number one with any of these sort of things is don't fight the reps because they do this 3 times a week. You get
Yeah.
your ass kicked.
All right.
They'll kick your ass and they will kind of I don't know what style on you as well. They'll be like, what?
So,
And they'll make you look like an idiot.
are you implying that you fought?
No, my friend did, and
Oh, okay.
busted nose and a bit of whiplash.
Wow. So, man, and this is within the first.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I've been home in Ireland for about over a year at this point. So I got there. I went a bit hard for the first couple of weeks.
All right.
Uh,
Well, so all right, that's that. How does the rest of your stay in terms of like what did you do? You said you just kind of shacked up, did videos there, and
well, the antibiotics and they literally said no alcohol. I was like, that seems okay with me. And then also come back here every day because we now need to check in it and we need to redress it and we need to get you consultations with surgeons because the infection is not going down. The infection is going this way, and if it goes towards the knee, we have problems.
wow.
I was like, I'm so happy to be here. It's like this is great.
Well, I'm impressed. I have questions about the logistics, but I don't want to get too lost into it. But there wasn't a language barrier or anything like that.
No, I went to an international hospital.
Okay. Yeah, the idea of being in America and saying I'm just going to go to another country for a little while is just it's not in the car. It's just not something that I would even consider.
Yeah. What is fun, what I know maybe reassured me is the first day when I was telling the story to the doctor as he's cleaning out my wound, I said, and I turned down an alleyway, he starts laughing and says, don't do that. I
Yeah.
was like, I know now
Yeah, no
not
kidding.
to go down
Where were you?
alleyways. Where were you an hour
Yeah,
ago?
what's going on here? It could have warned me. All right.
So it was, yeah, that was just back and forth to the hospital. Silver lining, but you get to know all the face of everyone, so I was quite nice to people. But silver lining is one of the nurses at the hospital was not just being nice to me.
Ooh.
We actually ended up dating and are still in
Oh,
touch.
that's great. The
Yeah.
positivity podcast. I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, like, all right, it's getting grim, but it ended up
Yeah.
working out in a really, really positive way. Listen, guys, this is why you're here. You're here
Yeah.
for the
It was
positivity, even in the darkest times.
even in the darkest times. She would be so nice to me. And then she'd like, "Oh, do you want a water? Sure." Or "Do you want a snack?" I said, "Sure." And she gave me a snack, and it was like a little wrapper with two biscuits in it. And I said, "Oh, I'll have one. You can have the other." And she said, "No, no, no, it's fine. I have more in my bag." I went, "Oh, this is your food. You're giving me your." I was like, "That's the switch in my head." I was like, okay, this is more. So then you gave me something. So next time I went down, I stopped off in a 7-Eleven, bought a like kind of pastry thing to give it to her. And she went, "Oh, I have something for you too." I was like, and then we just started exchanging gifts every time we met each other. Like, "Oh, I got you like this grape soda thing, and she got me this other thing." And I'm like, okay, there's gotta be. And even when she wasn't meant to be around me, like if a doctor was checking on me with their assistant, she would still be in the room anyway. So I was like, okay, I'm 90% sure. So I was like, you might as well go for it. She mentioned how she was gone for a few days back in her village visiting her family. She said, "Oh, it's very nice. I can bring you someday." I was like, "That's my mum." Yes. What is your number? It's a very strange thing to ask for a girl's number in the emergency department of a hospital, but I did it.
I am amazed and I'm getting butterflies. You have just described the best romantic comedy I have ever heard in my life. That's fantastic. That is amazing. That doesn't sound real,
Yeah, our first date was to an elephant cafe.
which even sounds even better. Like that's the sequel. Like let's see how their lives are.
So we went. She picked me up. We drove to the elephant cafe. I'm trying to suss out. I was like, I don't know, like doesn't feel like a proper date. Doesn't feel very romantic. I don't know. I was like, hmm. So we went on it. We had a nice time. Went for some food afterwards. I was like, I don't think she's into me. Maybe she just wants to be friends.
Come
Okay,
on,
I'll leave that
man.
alone.
Come on.
I don't know. I didn't get really kind of like no. You know when you go on a date with someone, they kind of sit a bit closer to you. They, like it's a bit more romantic. This felt more like friends hanging out. So I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Worst case scenario, I got a friend. Until later that night, I'm out for a beer, so I messaged her the beer and was like, just send her a picture. And she goes, "Oh, and I have a question for you." I said, "Okay, yeah, sure. Now, no pressure. It's okay." I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, ask me. It's fine. Would you like to go on a date with me?"
Wow.
I was like, "Well, I'm delighted you asked me out, but I thought we already went on a date."
Yeah. Well, maybe she was getting the signal that you didn't understand that it was a date. Maybe it's like, oh, maybe he doesn't think that this is what this is, and you were based on what you're describing here, you weren't sure.
No.
So maybe she got that vibe from you. It's like, oh, he's clearly not getting this. Like, I need to be more direct.
No, no, she thought we were hanging out as friends. I was like, he seems nice.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Okay.
like it. And then our next day we go to kind of a rooftop bar for sunset. And that was a bit more. That was like we're sitting
That's
close to each
romance.
other. And that's the yeah. That was like now we're
All
dating.
right. So you've given a lot for this kid from rural Pennsylvania, a lot to think about. But I just kind of glossed over Elephant Cafe. Please show your work. What does that mean?
So that is a cafe where they actually have multiple elephants who are just roaming about.
What in the world?
Because it's up in kind of the hills of the mountains around the city. So you can just go feed them or take pictures with them. Yeah.
I guess I'm glad I started with bowling. Because if I said bowling after what you just described here, wow, that's incredible.
That was quite nice.
Yeah. So, man, you want to, living up to the name of Positivity Podcast. That's great. I feel way better about my life all of a sudden. Like
Yeah.
that can even happen. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Mm,
And then
Touch literally sent me a video today.
that's great. And so was that like kind of that informed the rest of your stay then?
Uh, a little. Yeah, it was like off on a initially it was off on a good note, then it was like a terrible note, then it ended on a good note. But my visa ran out in Thailand, so always want to go into Laos. I didn't want to fly into Laos. I wanted to go to the border and then ride a slow boat down the Mekong River for 2 days into the one of the older capitals called Luang Prabang.
Wow.
And then I spent 1 month living in a village where I spent too much time kind of going hanging out with foreigners I met in the boat. I didn't really ingratiate myself in the community. Then the following month, I went to a place called Vong Vieng, which is a massive party town. 10 years ago, it was the biggest party town in all of Asia. They averaged one death or one missing person a week.
So is that like a
Now, bear in mind, this
Dothraki
place,
party right there? Are you familiar
a
with
lot
the
of
Game of
drugs.
Thrones thing where it's like if there's not
Oh,
at least 3 deaths, it's a boring party? That's what you just described.
it might be
Yeah.
that, yeah. They would offer free alcohol till 9 until 9 p.m. And they would do that tipsy tubing thing. And there'd be about 12 bars, free alcohol, but the drugs you pay for. So people are getting hopped up on, they were offering meth, cocaine, ketamine, mushrooms, LSD. And then folks were doing all that sort of stuff and then diving back into the river. And some never came up again.
That sounds a tad unwise, I guess, would be the way I would describe it.
Yes. So again, this town is only about 10,000 people,
Okay.
and all of this influx of an awful lot of Australians. One of the people who died was the son of an Australian member of parliament, and she kicked up an awful fuss. So then
Yeah.
the Australian government got in touch with the Laotian government and said, "What's going on?" And the Laotian government went, "What the fuck are you talking about? This town of yours is going crazy." And then the officials arrive and go, "What?" Shut everything down.
Wow.
Shut everything down. But then the village people were like, well, the townsfolks were saying, we were making a lot of money. And as a community, we like that. So it's like, okay, we can open up to a degree, but let's clean it up a bit. Let's more kind of eco tourism. We've got blue lagoons, we've got mountaintops. We've got hot air balloons now. We got paramotor rides. Let's focus more on that and less on the
On the
copious
literal
amounts of
death.
available drugs.
On
Yes.
yeah.
So I wanted to see what that place is like 10 years later.
Okay.
There are still remnants of it. You can still walk into a place and they'll turn over the menu and there's meth, there's ketamine,
Do you
there's
have to
everything
like
you could
say
want.
this secret word? You're like, hey, give me the good stuff.
No,
No, they
no,
just,
no,
you
no.
just whip it over.
You order a beer and they just put the menu in front of you and say nothing.
It's like the dessert menu. You go,
Yeah,
you go to a Denny's, and it's like, okay, you flip it over, and you see what cakes we have today. Yeah,
that's a little bit how it
yeah,
is.
all right.
I stayed there for 4 weeks. It was fun because it was just like, during the daytime, edit videos. Then the evenings I would just go out and watch the sunset or meet some people. Beer is like maybe $1.50, so it was beautiful. Some places offered free whiskey and free vodka for 2 hours.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah, you can just have as much as you want. And then this leads us to the fact that only about a few weeks ago, more people died in the town because one of the distilleries was not making it properly.
Yeah,
So then they end up being laced with methanol as opposed to ethanol, and that killed
I
like
mean,
six
they're
people.
very close. Like you could see how they got that mixed up,
He was
but
like, "What?"
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
taking a
I
long
don't know,
time.
you know, like the something smudged over here. I can't really see what's. I'll wing it. It's 50-50. We got this.
Yeah. For me though, after about a few weeks there, I was like, okay, I didn't come to Laos to talk to, Canadians and Americans and Germans. I want to go back to my village.
Yeah,
So I go back to the same village and I decide this time I'm not going to see that. I'm just staying in this village. I'm going to meet everyone in the village. That ended up being amazing. I could not leave my apartment without somebody waving at me or like saying hello or towards the end of the evening just being offered to come join people for drinks.
yeah,
I've never been given more free alcohol than I did in Laos.
yeah.
So then I started like, I'm not going to let this happen. Okay, listen, if you offer me a beer, I'm going to say thank you. But then next time I'm coming and giving you 2 beers. It
Man,
was wonderful.
all right. We apparently we should just schedule a podcast for us to talk about your time abroad because that was amazing. Uh, okay, is okay. That would you say overall a very positive experience?
Yep.
So like you did the graph where it was like down and then up and then so like how up past the middle point would you say?
Oh, by the end,
Like
I was just, how do I get back?
yeah,
How do I
off
get
the
back?
charts.
Yeah, I came back to Ireland and I was here for all of 3 days. It was grey, raining. A pint of beer was costing €6 instead of the 150 I was used to. I'm like, this place fucking sucks.
Well, you have really nice hills though.
We do.
Yeah, so do we. That's a Pennsylvania thing. So got plenty of those here as
That
well.
was that was me.
Yeah,
It was quite lovely.
you do any gaming?
Yeah, as in I continued making Platinum Journey as I was there. When I was in that Laotian village, I spent ages working on Resident Evil 4 remake episode, which was I don't know like an hour and 10 minutes or something. That was a big process. Recorded the DLC separate ways while I was out there. God of War Ragnarok, Devil May Cry 2. So I was, still working. That was the point of it. I wanted to live there, not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
go party every night. Even if I did go and drink, I normally like have a couple of beers, watch the sunset. Some nights on the weekend you might go crazy, but in general, I'm there to live, not to be on holiday.
Man, if you come to this podcast looking to feel good, I can't think of a better way. than what Adam just presented here. Now let's get real depressing and talk about me. I'm kidding. Uh,
Yeah, let's go through it. You've done
yeah,
me for a
well,
while.
we
Let's
can we
go
can
through the.
we can talk about me. So actually, I was a bit nervous because before we started this gaming positivity podcast, I was feeling kind of down about 2024 as a whole. I'm like, I need to feel better about this. And what I have been doing for the past couple years now is I've been journaling. I have been doing a thing where I sit down with a notebook and a pen, no rules, and I will just move my hand and see what comes out. And through that, I work through a lot of stuff and I get new perspectives on things that really, the facts don't change about my life, but my outlook on them changes. And I did
Yeah.
that right before we got into this call. So I'm like, I need to figure this
Oh,
out.
nice.
And the first probably page and a half was me just being like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. And then I did another page where I'm like, but here's all the good that came out of it. So
Mm,
here's,
go for it.
yeah. So I guess I'll talk about the start of the year. This was, I, I had been at my job in the game industry, and keeping in mind, I've been trying to get into the game industry for 30 plus years, like long, long time. And in 2023, I finally did it. It wasn't like, game developer or anything, but hey, I'm in the industry. I'm talking to game developers. I'm working with game development tools. Like, it was a really, really awesome milestone that I reached, in my opinion. I was very happy about that. And then January, so we actually go to a Christmas party in December 2023. It was in Washington. They flew everybody in the company out, and we all met up, and that was great.
Yeah.
And when we were there, we learned like, oh, we have this enormous project that everyone in the company has to go all hands on deck, and it's due by GDC. And GDC at that point was 3 months from the Christmas party. And it was basically a year's worth of work in 3 months. You're like, yep. Yeah, so as soon as you're back, like, have fun. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And I got back home and immediately just said, like, don't bother me. Like, I'm working until this gets done. Fortunately, my wife was not employed at the time, so that worked out. And honestly, like, I felt good about it because it felt like my version of crunch. Like, it's like,
Oh my.
and I felt like I needed to experience crunch as a rite of passage for my, like, to feel legitimately like I am in the industry. I needed my version of crunch. Like, I needed to do 12 to 16-hour days, 6 days a week to feel like I
Yeah.
have made it. And it wasn't as long and it wasn't as often as people in the industry typically do, but it was my mini version of it. I got to experience it a little bit, and it was in the comfort of my own home, so it wasn't nearly as bad in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it. Like, I got it all done before GDC. It was well received. Everyone was happy, and that was great. And I feel like that was when my job peaked. It was like, okay, now it just becomes a job again, where it's like, okay, now I don't know about you because you have untraditional employment history, but people listening that have traditional 9 to 5 jobs know that, like, oh, you start to see things around the edges of your job that start to get to you a little bit. And once the luster wears off, it starts to affect you more and more. And that's kind of where I was getting past the GDC moment, where and immediately after GDC, we laid like 20% of the company off, which was not great. And it affected my team and people I worked with, so I was upset about that. And so it just became a job again, and I'm like, I'm still grateful to have this. I would much rather do this than anything I was doing before. So it's not like I'm upset that I have this job, but man, I wish I could just feel better about this. And that went on for a good long while. And my wife was going through school, and to become a full-fledged registered nurse, she was a LPN, which is like a lower level nurse, and she was going back to school to get a higher degree of nursing. And that was stressful, dealing with children and her at school a lot. That was and my crunch at the time was also a fair amount. So I was feeling pretty burnt out and stressed by the time summer rolled around. Um, but I worked through it, and I'm like, okay, well, at least I survived a layoff, and then they promoted me. So I'm like, okay, great.
Nice.
They promoted me. It was a decent sized raise to go along with it. I'm like, cool. All right. I guess I'm safe. And then I wasn't. Like, I got laid off. everyone that I worked with is truly baffled by that whole thing, especially considering the promotion just prior. That was very weird.
That
Um,
is very strange.
and yeah, so like that really hit me hard because I'm like, man, it's so hard to get in this industry, and now I don't have traditional industry experience like a lot of people searching for jobs right now. Uh, but I still want to work in this industry. It's the only job I've ever cared about. Like I can honestly say that in my, you know, however long I've been working, 15 plus years of employment, it is the only job that I've ever actually felt good about. And
How long are you doing it? It was 3 years, was it?
year and a half.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Um, so there was that. And let's see what else I got written down here. So yeah, fall is when I got laid off. I had gotten into really so I like I get into like amazing shape followed by not so amazing shape. Like it's the first 6 months of the year, like I'm getting into incredible shape, and then the last 6 months I'm undoing everything I do, and then
Oh,
that
I
just
did,
goes
I
into a
did the
loop.
same thing this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that goes into a
I've gained
loop
like,
every year.
yeah, I've gained like 20 pounds since being back in Ireland.
I get to the spot where I'm in incredible shape and I like get a picture of it and I'm like, man, I'm hideous. This isn't good enough. And then I'm like, screw it. I'm not doing this ever again. And then I get out of shape. And do you know you'll get like memories on your phone. It'll say like, oh, here's what you were doing however long ago or whatever. I got a picture when I was as soon as I was done with my diet at the first half of last year. I took a picture of my body and it showed me that at the end of the year it's like, all right, here's what you did this year. And I'm like, wow, I was upset with how I looked. I would kill for that right now. Like I look terrible. This is awful. So and that just kickstarted me back this year. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna get back into that shape. And the cycle begins anew. That's going to happen forever. But
What type of swing are we talking? Like how much weight would you lose, and then how much would you gain?
uh 20 pounds a piece.
Mm.
Not like the worst thing. Not that I still work out every day and move around a bunch, and more often than not I eat healthy. uh but I have these moments of binges where I just like, and that's how I handle stress, is that I eat, and that's a bad way to
Mm.
do it. I'll just go, and there will be no limit to what I can eat, and it's really bad, and that's something actually I'm going to try to work on this year. Is like I'm no more emotional eating. We just got to get rid of that, and then maybe this time next year I'll still be in good shape. Well, we'll find out. Take a before picture and then do an after. Yeah. So yeah, but a lot of what I was stressed about was mostly internal. Like, because at the end of the day, I still had a job I was grateful for. I was making decent money. Uh, my son is turning out to be like a really good kid and everything like that. But inside, I'm just like, man, I'm stressed about parenting. I'm stressed about work. And then I lost my job and I'm stressed about that. And I was just a big ball of stress. And that kind of led to
Hmm.
me starting this positivity kick where I'm like, I need to start feeling better about things. And I'm not just doing that as a it's not just a gimmick, right? Like I'm trying to actually have a better outlook. It's why I journal and try to work out why I feel so negative about certain things. And obviously bad things happen, but there's also good things that come from it. You fell in a sewer. Some good things came from that. Um, during
Every time I look at the two big scars on my leg,
exactly.
I just smile.
Yes, I would think so. Um, but my stress, my time at my job and the amount of work I put in and how hard I worked. I have people from that job still messaging me about opportunities in the industry and still saying like whatever you need. Higher up people like VPs in the company are reaching out to me saying like whatever you need, just see if we can find something for you. So like I've established like my foot in that industry, and that's something that I obviously wouldn't have, a, if I didn't work that hard and built that reputation at the job, and b, if I didn't get the job in the first place, which is something that not a lot of people get. So I learned uh about all of the connections that I have as a result of my getting laid off. Like just like, oh, all
Hmm.
of this out, I really meant something to these people, and they're going to support me, and that makes me feel really good. So that's a positive to look at. I've seen. You got something we want to say about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have any potential offers coming down the pipeline?
So we discussed this, and funny story about that, but I did have a potential interview with Amazon.
Yeah, but I'm talking about back in the gaming industry.
Yeah, so it was in the gaming industry. It was Amazon's gaming thing. That was what the interview was for.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You said Amazon. I thought you'd be working in the warehouses or doing logistics
No,
or
I would
something.
never. Come on now. You think these hands can work? Come on.
Those are for typing.
Yeah, those are for typing and like doing pull-ups, I guess was the other one. But other than that, anyway, so yes, I've had I wouldn't say opportunities. Like the Amazon thing fell through because I wasn't able to relocate and they needed someone in person. But Amazon was interested, right? So that says something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, we had to cut out like a joke we made at Amazon's expense as a result of me.
Yeah, we were joking about Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos. Oh, now we can joke
No, we
about
can
him
joke
'cause you're
about
not
him
going
all we
to
want, I guess. I was
He looks like a reptile, doesn't he? He's weird.
no
looking.
comment. You never know. Adam's opinions are his own. They do not represent the opinions of the Half Bar Half Full podcast.
This is great. As my own new boss are like the fans and the folks on Patreon.
That's true. My only
That's
boss
my
is
boss.
no one right now. Like
Yeah. I don't even do sponsorships. So like, what's that thing? What's the most recent one? Raid Shadow Legends. They can kiss my ass.
oh yeah. Well, I'm not going to say that either because that's in the game industry, and if they're hiring, hey, give me a call. I love your game that I've never played. I will play it. If you want me to play it, I'll download it right now. Let's go while we're talking. Anyway, so it's tough because I got laid off during the holidays too, so like or near it, and close enough that a lot of people are kind of checked out, and also they're competitive because lots and lots of people got laid off this year and last year. There's lots of people looking for those kinds of jobs, and it's going to take some time to find something, and it might not be the best fit right out of the gate, but we'll find something. I still have a coworker, especially. There's one coworker in particular that is working very, very hard to find opportunities for me. It is unreasonable how kind he is being. My former boss and I, we still keep in touch too. So like if anything comes, he's been sending me some opportunities. But like, hey, this looks like it might be a good fit. It's just going to take time, but I'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So for now, you're just kind of quite content being unemployed.
Well, so
taking a
here's the
break.
positive thing about that, right? Is that I was burnt out. So like, what better excuse to not work than being forced to not work, right?
Yeah.
I really needed this time, and I actually struggled. Part of this journaling thing too is like I struggled to even recognize that I had this time. I got laid off, and I'm like, no, this isn't fair. I don't want this. This isn't how I wanted it. It's like a monkey's paw situation. But my wife, who's another positive about this year, is I've seen her like be more supportive of me than I ever thought she was capable of. Not that I didn't think she was capable of being supportive, but she has gone above and beyond way more than I would expect, and that has been
That's quite
amazing to
nice.
see. And even she was like, "Listen, take this time. I'm working. You don't worry about like don't rush into something you don't want. Take this time, relax, work on stuff that you want to work on." And hence we're talking right now and recording this, and that's kind of where that whole thing kicked off.
Actually, speaking of stuff you're working on,
Yeah,
your last upload was 13 days ago, and it was the Let's Play.
yeah.
What else you doing, Randy?
Well, I'm gonna be doing more of those let's plays.
Okay.
You seem excited.
No, it was in like, you got all this free
Well,
time, and we're just
well,
gonna
you
podcast on
remember
Let's
the
Play.
aforementioned I'm alone with my 3-year-old all day
What?
thing.
Parenting
Yeah,
responsibilities.
I was thinking that when I'm there, I'm like, man, you are just such a colossal waste of time, and that was something I had to work through, right? Like, yeah, it's just like I'm sitting there playing bowling for the 5,000th time and just thinking like, okay, well, this isn't productive, and that's something I had to work through. Like, not everything has to be productive. That
Mm-hmm.
things you can just enjoy things, and that's something that I struggle with. Something I want to work on in this year and beyond is that like I just need to enjoy the here and now and this moment, and I feel like that I feel like as a result of me getting laid off, it has helped me feel more that way. I still have work to do in that area, but it has helped. It has helped. So I will say silver lining there as well for the layoff.
Yeah. Did you unlist a bunch of the videos? I'm looking at your channel. Did you unlist a bunch of videos?
Oh yeah, I unlisted anything that was basically me trying to pivot into uh, off-topic things.
Why?
So they were poorly received, uh, in the sense that people that came to my channel initially for the content that I was originally creating did not jive with the new content. So I thought to myself, like, okay, I will focus on this particular type of content for this channel. And if I ever want to pivot into other content, I will make a new channel.
Fair enough. I kind of just, I got Platinum Journey, and if I want to do other stuff, I just put them up as well. And folks can
Yeah,
watch or not watch. I don't really mind as much.
yeah, but you're still mostly on topic. I know, I guess your travelogue thing was a little different.
Yeah, but that's like one episode a year.
Yeah, right. So like that's what I'm saying. Like I tried to pivot hard, and I more or less said like, yeah, you're not getting the stuff you like anymore. Is what I said.
Oh, okay.
So,
I can get you. Yeah.
and which is unfair. I shouldn't have done that. But it was again, it was me trying to be in productivity brain. I'm like, the Let's Play stuff doesn't help my career. This other stuff might. So I'm gonna focus more on that. And that's again a bad way to look at it. I can't just always be thinking, how is this going to help me in the long run?
So I kind of like the philosophy I have when it comes to video making is make stuff you would want to watch.
Yeah.
So then now that you have more time, what video like what's your kind of dream project?
That's a good question. In terms of videos, I actually like so I kind of came to terms with the fact that I'm very good at Let's Plays. I'm very good at riffing over games. And there are people that I do watch that are good at it, that I like, and they're laid
Mhm.
back like I am. They're not like yell over the top of games sort of thing. And
Mhm.
I like that as a valuable background noise thing. But then there are times where, like, during my Let's Plays, I will edit in jokes that just make me so happy. And they make no one else happy, but I edit them in, and they make me laugh, and that's what I care about. Um, if I had all the time in the world, which I don't, what would I make? I would love to do like more review video essay style stuff, but that stuff just takes forever.
Yeah, but worth it.
It could be, yeah. But keep in mind, not just parenting, but I also do game development too, which is I only have so much time for so many things, even without the work.
Yeah, I sometimes I was discussing with my brother today. Is like, imagine if I was somebody who wanted a child. I wouldn't have done, and I don't know, like 90% of what I've done in the past decade.
Oh
There
yeah.
wouldn't have been time for it. Whereas
Oh,
I'm the gobshite who decided that my big plan is I'm going to play Death Stranding for 100 hours and grow a beard, and that's my focus.
so I thought about this as another one of those readjustments of how I look at things. That I too was thinking that where what was I playing or watching or something? There was something that's like, man, this is okay, and if I had more time, I would see it through, but I don't, and this isn't hitting as much as it needs to for me to continue. And I put
Mm,
it down, and and I felt bad about it, where I'm like, man, if I had more time, I could just see it through. And then I'm like, that's stupid. Like it's not giving me what it needs to, so I can just put it down, and that's fine. And then I can go and
mhm.
play with my son and be appreciative that he really cares about me, and we have a lot of fun together. I'd rather do that than suffer through a mediocre game.
Yeah, you kind of figure out what's most important to you and pursue that.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
never I never thought I was going to produce a child from scratch with my ingredients. I thought the stepkids were going to be
Jesus Christ.
I thought the stepchildren
Thanks.
were going to
That
be enough.
visual. Are you baking a cake?
I mean, it's not too dissimilar, I guess. I mean, they say bun in the oven for a reason, right? Like it's not they so the stepkids were checking that box for the most part, but then my wife was like, "Yeah, but I want a child with you because I haven't gone through that whole process with you." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Okay, that's fair." And it planted the seed where I'm like, "Is that really something that I would want or consider?"
Hmm.
Keeping in mind, like it was a lifetime ago where we made these decisions where we thought we were going to have a better support system than we did. Uh, our employment was more locked down than it than it is today. Everything it looked, but you know that's just life. Things change, and you get thrown stuff you don't expect. And again, there are always things positive that come out of it. I don't regret it. I am a heck of a father, and I'm learning that day by day as I the more time I spend with him, and I realize like he's reaching all his milestones at school. He's doing all the crappy things like brushing his teeth and stuff like that. You don't realize how hard that is until, until you have to get a child to do it. Um, and he loves me to death. Like he and I have a really close relationship. So I don't know. Like I don't regret that. If it was different, I'm not sure it would have turned out that way. So, and I didn't know how much I needed it until I got it, I think.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
So there's
I don't,
that.
I don't, I don't have, I don't have any of that in me.
No, and I think that's increasingly common for this generation. Is that yeah, I don't. There's probably studies that have been done about the way this generation has been forced to adapt to conditions that have led to a different mindset.
Yeah, do you ever read studies of South Korea's birth rate is pretty low. It's like 0.8, and then Japan isn't too far behind. Even places like Spain are 1.4 or whatever.
Yeah,
And yeah, yes, oftentimes it's said, well, of course South Korea's birth rate is terrible. It's so expensive. You got to work these long hours and this and that, and it's not very helpful. There's no maternity leave, so the government are trying. And it's like, but the birth rate is low there, and the birth rate in all the Nordic countries is also quite low. They have an immense support system. So I think it's just we have more options about what to do with our time.
yeah, that's probably
Back in
true.
the day, it was like, there's three TV channels. There's the only
I'm bored.
the only thing it was like the bored. So you go down the pub and you'd hang out with people,
Yeah.
and that's what you had no phones. So it was like, "Well, what do we do?" It was like, "Oh, marry him, suppose have kids,
Listen, I'm not gonna
Or
lie.
nowadays,
Go ahead and
go on.
finish what you were saying.
I said nowadays, if people are in a couple, they're like instead of having kids, it's like save money and we go off traveling, or I want to go to on this city break, or let's pursue our careers, or let's try and start our own business, or there's just more avenues of things to do. Where before it was get married, get a job you stay in for 30 years,
Right.
get a house with a 30-year mortgage, have children. Now it's like you can do so many different things. You got the internet to help you. You can start a business from anywhere in the world. You can continue it from anywhere in the, just more
Yeah,
options.
I don't disagree with you. And I'm not gonna lie and sit there and tell you that I don't think about that. Where there are times where I'm in over my head in terms of the daddening aspect of it, and I'm like, man, this is what did I do? How could
Mm.
I have done this to myself? It never lasts. It comes back and like, oh yeah, that's why. And I'm not the kind of person that wants to go travel all the time anyway. Like I'm the kind of person that wants to sit at home with a video game. I'm the kind of person that wants to read a book before bed. That's the kind of person I am. So I can still do those things, not as much as I used to. And as he gets older, I will be able to do them more once again. I'm going to, this is something again I'm working on. I'm going to enjoy and appreciate this time I have with him the way that he is now, because it's not going to last. And I will get more and more of my time back. And I'm learning a lot of stuff about myself along the way. And I will be able to handle whatever comes my way a heck of a lot better than I would have otherwise.
Yep.
And that's true of my job too, right? This getting laid off, as much as it sucks, really forced me to do some work internally. That now, when the next thing comes along, I'm going to handle it so much better. Like, and I'm pretty excited about that actually. It's like
What do you think is going to happen to the human race in about 1,000 years
uh,
if people
1,000.
don't? Let's say 1,000.
That's
It's too
generous.
long scale. Because if like people aren't having as many kids they used to.
Oh, there's still a lot of people here. There's still a lot of people having
Well,
kids too. So
yeah, Yeah, when is the world population going to start on the downturn? Like,
I'm pretty sure it's just going to go straight to zero pretty quick. Like I think it's just gonna there's going to be billions and billions, and then all of a sudden there's going to be zero. Just the world's going to explode.
it was real fun recently reading news headlines of, oh, this bird flu now has infected a human. I go, not, don't you start, don't you start.
No, not this time. Kill the birds. All done with birds. So yeah, like, and that that was like the personal stuff. I've glossed over a bunch. It was a long year, but and I'm still largely positive about all of that. That's where I concluded. That was how I concluded. I'm like, yeah, without everything I went through today, I wouldn't have all of this stuff that I appreciate right now. Um, and on top of it, I've got, as much as the YouTube pivot experiment was a failure, it did get me to start streaming again, and that was a hit.
Mhm.
Everyone loves it when I stream, and I need to start doing that once again because when I reinitiated a hiatus that I need to undo. I need to get back into it because I'm just good at talking over games. I don't know why, but it's just something people like.
So, what's your outlook? Maintaining the positivity. What's your outlook for 2025?
All right. In terms of personal or just overall?
Let's break it down into two categories: personal and career.
Okay. Personal, I kind of already told you about everything I wanted to work on. Be more appreciative of
Mhm.
what I have. See the good in bad things, and I really don't have it bad. I'm not homeless. Like I don't have a terminal illness. Like all my loved ones are still alive. Like, it could be so much worse, and I gotta just be okay with that when things aren't ideal, and then when things are ideal, like just embrace it and enjoy it. Um, and that's what I'm going to keep working on. I don't want to emotionally eat anymore. Just stress in
Mhm.
general. I need to lower that. Like that needs to. It got bad. Like it was affecting my health. So I need to. I actually had a coworker that apparently lost vision in one of his eyes because he was so stressed. Uh, which
Wow, that's
that's
too
that's
much.
too much. I don't want to get there. So it's cool. My I'll get like heavy breathing every once in a while. I'm not quite at the like. Let's cut that off before it gets too crazy. I want to work on that. I want to make sure that I'm actually appreciating and enjoying the time I'm spending with my child and not regretting it. As because I have definitely
Mhm.
dipped in there. I'm like, okay, I'm forced to be with him, counting the days until he goes back to school. I'm counting the minutes until mom gets home. Like that's just a terrible place to be. I need to enjoy. Like I'm going to embrace this bowling thing with him. Like he is so obsessed with
Yeah.
bowling. We've been going bowling. He loves it. Uh,
Because now when he goes back to school, you're going to just start missing him during the day.
oh, it already happens. It kills me. Like I don't know. And that was trying to figure out who I actually am again because I've had a rough couple of years and like I've had to like adjust things about me that kind of made me lose sight of who I was deep down. And man, this is getting weirdly philosophical, and I did not mean it to get that deep, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is who is Randy outside of he likes games and is funny sometimes? Like who is that guy? And I think all of it, like all of the parts, I want to be the guy that is good as a dad. And I'm surprised as much as anybody that this introverted kid from rural Pennsylvania wanted a child and is trying to make the best of having a child in terms of how he feels about it and how he sets his child up for success. I'm,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. So that I guess that's my personal thing that I want to
Mhm.
work on. And professional, right now, this is going to change tomorrow, but right now I feel good about not working. I feel good about I'm gonna, you
My
know,
career is good being on
yeah,
pause.
like I have some cushion right now. So again, another thing I'm grateful for that this is something that not a lot of people have, at least, especially in my area. If someone lost their job, that's red alert territory. Not the case for me. So I'm grateful for that. I get to do my podcast with you, which I look forward to every 2 weeks. It's been a lot of fun so far. Can't wait to do the next one. Uh, the YouTube Let's Plays. I am not doing it out of obligation. I'm enjoying doing them. And
Oh, yeah, what's the next game, by the way? I know you finished up Resident Evil 1.
so st- I'm just gonna do the other character in Resident Evil 1, and
Ah, Jesus,
the
don't.
reason being is because I can finish that game in like an hour and a half. So it's like minimal impact for like large, not gain, because it's not like it's not like I'm gonna be a superstar, but for like a consistency and like a niche that I'm carving out, and it makes the people that do watch my stuff happy. So it's minimal negative impact and large positive impact from what I can see. And then I just move on to the next Resident Evil games because honestly, I've been enjoying playing them again. It's been a few years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then after that, like I think I've discovered about myself that I really like old school design sensibilities, especially like the early 3D. So I don't know why, but I've got like the original Tomb Raider games in the back of my brain is something that I want to
Mm-hmm.
pursue. Uh, there's like Silent Hill that I want to pursue. There's like countless 3D platformers from that era that are like Croc is making a comeback. You ready for Croc? Let's do it. Gex. Let's get them all out
I
there.
remember Croc. I liked Croc back on the PS1.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Croc, and like and I think about all these games that I have nostalgia and fondness for, and I do think there's some value in their design that we don't design games like that anymore, largely for the best, but also I think we could stand to learn some things from them. And I think that can just be my niche where I just play those old games that make me happy. When I was streaming this year, I played through the original Fallout and Fallout 2, which was a lot of fun. And again, there's some weird outdated design things, but then there's some crazy design things that I'm like, man, I wish they still did this in games today, and they don't.
Those first two are kind of isometric, are they?
They're very they are isometric RPGs, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and then I played through Doom 1 and 2 because why not? Like I don't know why I remember saying after Fallout, I'm like, okay, Fallout after this gets too new, so I need something old, and Doom sounds good right about now. And that was a hit. Both of these things were hits. People loved it, watching me play them, and because they have a fondness for it just like I do, and they want to share that
Are
with
you
somebody.
currently streaming?
I'm going to be streaming Deus Ex here whenever I get back into it. I've got that
And
loaded
that will
up.
be on YouTube or Twitch.
Both.
Ah,
Simulcast. The mother of all simulcasts. Yeah. So
okay, we're
if you go to my YouTube channel and then go to live tab, you can see all that stuff. That's all there.
yeah, I'm doing it now. Aha! Okay, yes, here's who Doom 2, yeah. Oh wow, okay. These are okay, you've been doing all right.
And those are
This one the changes that YouTube did, which was a good thing when they kind of separated it
yeah,
and they got separated videos and shorts and live and
game
podcasts
changer
and
because I didn't want to cloud my YouTube channel with a bunch of live stream archives, but there are people I see the metrics, they're surprisingly watched. They are people watch those things. The Fallout ones, they've got probably the most views of anything I've done recently.
Doom 2, Fallout. Where's Fallout? Fallout 2 Part 16, Part 15, Part 14. Yeah.
So if you like
Good God,
games
how long was
from
the game?
basically the year 2000 and prior, probably between 1990 and the year 2000, that decade, if you want to see me play those games, head on over to Randy Fluharty at YouTube, which you are
Same place
already.
you're
You're
watching,
probably
yeah.
watching that right now or listening to
Or if
it.
you're on
Yeah, if you're
Spotify.
listening to it, which you could be, and that's cool. Actually, I saw some people have subscribed on the podcast feeds, which is incredible. Didn't think anyone would do that.
Hey, how do we find out that?
So Spotify has metrics for when people do that.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How many folks are subscribed?
Oh, it was like less than 10, but it's still more than zero, which is what I
Whoa.
expected. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and who knows? Like I haven't looked at it in a couple weeks, so maybe it's grown. Probably not. But
It could be 11.
well, especially this podcast ain't going to change anybody's mind because there's like been zero games on this. Not a lot of game talk, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
It's positivity.
Yeah. So career-wise, I didn't actually finish the question. I'm going to be cycling between um, my streaming, my Let's Plays, and my game development. And those are going to be taking up most of my time. And this podcast, obviously. And those are going to be taking up the majority of my time. And I'm going to try to relax in between that, because I'm going to take some time. I'm going to there's going to be a time where I carve out. My son's at school, my wife's at work, and I'm going to say, no one is to even think about me. No one can have me in their brain. That's not allowed. And that's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm going to apply for jobs. I have applied for some jobs here and there, and we'll see what happens. But I've got probably another 6 months worth of cushion. Let me know in June how that's going to go.
Isn't this everyone who's got a job that, well, you had a job you liked, but unfortunately, an awful lot of people in the world have a job they just are okay with. Like, it's fine,
Yeah.
Some parts of the job I like, some parts of it I don't like. It's fine. But the idea of being let go or being like, oh, this I have to take a break.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the fact that I'm learning this about me now, 6 months before it becomes a concern, looks really good for the next 6 months. I'm really good. I have done a lot of internal work that is going to really help my mental state moving forward. And I have plenty of time to do that now. So that feels really good. And again, I'm appreciative of all of that. I don't want to take any of that for granted. There's a lot of people that don't, like you said, there are people that have jobs that they don't like, or they're just kind of okay with, and they just have to stick with it because that's life. I was there. Every job, like I said, every job prior to the one I just had, I did not like. Yeah. To varying degrees. Either it was I don't like it, or this is actively removing years from my lifespan. I've hated some jobs so much.
Yeah, I've had some pretty. I used to work in a petrol station where it was in a bit of a rougher part of the city.
Yeah.
And people would come in the whole day and just buy lottery tickets, and I had to stop myself from and cigarettes. That's not what
Yeah, you almost said something that
but...
would have been a little different here. I would have known what you meant.
Yeah.
Look it up,
but
folks.
that was all they'd buy. And I was like, do you want some bread?
We have all this bread here. It's gonna go bad. You gotta buy it.
Yeah, and they were a bit rough. We also sold wine, and one day a guy was drunk and he tried to swing a bottle of wine at one of my staff, one of my people I work with. I was like, this is terrible. I've had work in retail for multiple Christmases. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what job I think would be great?
What's that?
Postman. Think of it. You go to the distribution center. You just go to your distribution center.
Yeah.
Basically, just do Death Stranding, but real life.
Yeah.
Or real life, and then you just grab up all the stuff. You put it into your van.
Yeah.
You already know the place. You know the routes.
Yeah.
There's no one overseeing you. It's just here's stuff to deliver. Either do it today or get it tomorrow. That's why every time you order something, it's like, I'll be there in 3 to 5 business days. It's like, it'll get there when it gets there. And even if it's late, what are you going to do? Complain? It got there, didn't it? Relax.
I can tell you as someone that has had their mail late, that we do nothing. What can we do? We can't do anything about it.
Wasn't delivered today, it'll be delivered tomorrow.
The Postal Service already seems like magic. It seems impossible. So I personally don't take it. I don't get offended when my mail is late. My wife is livid whenever anything shows up a fraction of a second later than she expects it to. She's like, "What do they think? What do they think they're doing? Don't they know they're affecting people's lives?" I'm like, dear, you have a pair of shoes already. It'll be here. Just give it a minute.
I like it. I see the postman going around. They're in there now. Got all electric vans.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I know it makes it kind of cuter. It's like
yes.
You make so little noise. It's like a little toy car. It's like and this is great. They just park anywhere.
Yes, they get
to
be
open
cuter.
the door. They don't even close the door. They just open the door. Just walk up, ring the doorbell, hi, and then just give you the mail, and then off to their van again. You can hear the music playing in the van.
We don't even have that. They have steering wheels on both sides of the vehicle, so you can operate the no matter what seat you're on in the mail truck, you can drive it. And the reason being is because the mail is usually on the off side of the car. So what they
Mhm.
do is they drive the off side of the car and then they just stick it into the mailbox that's on the side of the road. They don't even interact with you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's easy in this area anyway.
Uh,
I doubt it's that way forever for everybody, but
yeah.
yeah.
I kind of like the idea. Also, you know, all the post people I see, men and women, they tend to be in reasonably good shape because they're getting
Oh yeah,
nice
tons of
exercise. They're
steps. They
outdoors.
definitely get their 10,000 steps at least.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
don't know, and they're finished by 3 o'clock in the day.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're
oh,
selling
it
me
looks
on
like
this,
a
Adam.
nice job.
Yeah.
There's a reason, right? There's a reason you don't get see vacancies for postman because everyone
Yeah,
who
just
gets
think
the job holds on to it for like decades. Like this is great.
my grandfather was a postman for his whole life pretty much. And he retired pretty young actually, I think early 60s maybe.
Oh yeah, because then it's a government job,
Yeah.
so you get
You get super
the
benefits,
government pension.
decent
You
pay.
can retire like 55.
Yeah. He was bored, so he didn't want to retire. Like he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself if I retire. And then one day they threatened to cut his pay, and he's like, well, goodbye.
And I've
Yeah. So yeah, you're
in
kind of
general
selling
like
me on this. Maybe I'll look at. No, I'm not going to be. I don't want to use my body in any way. That's just kind of
um,
unless I'm involuntarily lifting up heavy things and putting them back down to for vanity's sake. I don't want to ever use my body.
yeah, I know. Anytime I get something delivered, the postman is postman. I'm gonna okay. Here's a quick aside. I don't like camera woman. I don't like post woman. I treat the man as human.
Yeah. Oh, all
Huh?
right. Yeah, you got that right. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's camera human, and we shorted it to cameraman.
Every race is the human race. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
See? So all the postmen, the men and the women, whenever they deliver something, they're always like smiling. I was like, hi.
Uh,
I was like, they seem to be in a very good mood
well,
all the
I don't
time.
know if you've seen American postal workers, but that's not.
Maybe it's just Irish postal workers.
That's not the case here. I can tell you that, but that's all right. They can be, they can be grumpy. They get me my
And
mail.
anytime they're delivering me, I was like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Oh
And they're
yeah, I
like,
guess
oh, you're welcome.
I guess maybe it depends on the person they're interacting with. They're usually nice to me. They wave and they're like, "Hey," but I've also seen
Yeah.
them like not be thrilled with other humans. So I don't know. Keep in mind, they also
Amen.
have to go through like dilapidated properties and stuff like that, and they have to deal with animals that people don't take care of.
Oh,
So
also, yeah, I'm also thinking of Ireland, which is much smaller than most places. And if you're going out the country, you're going out about 20 minutes out the road, you know.
yeah,
It's like not a big deal.
yeah. So I think another appealing job for me, uh, hotel desk night shift.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. And you know where I got that
Bring
idea?
a bring a Nintendo Switch and have it like under the counter, right?
Yeah.
Just playing
Or
all
you
over
could, if you
there,
brought a powerful enough laptop, you edit your videos and stuff like that.
yeah.
You could get your work done while you're getting your work done.
Hotels would be fun. Also, yeah, like any nighttime shift, like security guard where nothing
Oh
happens,
yeah.
or maybe the hotel would be nice because you'd be indoors and probably a bit. You'd never have any real trouble. If you're a security guard, there's that
Yeah.
one in a million chance we're being
Yeah.
robbed,
You're
you
not
know.
getting robbed at the hotel desk. Like that's not going to happen. You're
And also, if
redirecting a
you do, is
phone
like,
call at worst.
yeah, or you're getting some, you know, uh, guest who's stumbling at two and is like, "Did you have a good night?" Well, yeah, 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 yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Do you remember your room number? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Good night.
There's a couple of hotels nearby, which is weird because it's a very small town. I'm surprised, but we do have a couple, and I've looked into night shift jobs for that, and they just don't. Again, probably similar to postal worker in the sense that the second they open up, they're like, oh, someone's got to jump on that
Hmm.
because it's a cushy job.
There are some jobs that people get and they just don't want to leave go of them.
Yeah, yeah. So, what about you? I know personal. I mean, professional. You probably just want to keep doing what you're doing, right? Or is there something else in your brain that you got going on?
No, I'm pretty much set. Love making Platinum Journey. I'm doing like some more bigger episodes, like Elden Ring, Death Stranding, and Cyberpunk. After that, little trifecta. I like the kind of big episodes that where I look at the post production. I'm going, how do I do that? That's a big challenge. So I like that. But
Yeah.
also, I'll do a Resident Evil 5 as well and Devil May Cry 3. Try some other games. Yeah, and it's kind of the same goal most years, which is can I just make my videos and have a place of my own to live? That's more or less it.
Until you have children.
Yeah, that
Per-
ain't happen. As in, I will like legitimately if I had to have like a trailer in Arkansas, America, with a busted window and a creaky door and a chair with springs sticking out of it and a TV which doesn't get anything, but it got a HDMI cable. And if I have enough space for a camera, enough space for a light or two, I'm happy.
I'm totally with you, and I think there's going to be some version of that as I get older. Like I think as the kids become more self-reliant, I'm just going to be like, all right, Dad's gone now. You don't you bye. Uh, and the wife can come too, I guess.
Go some log cabin in the woods.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. So
Mm.
I definitely wanted what you were suggesting, and then my wife came along, and I just fell for her hard, and that just changed everything. Gosh darn it, her! How dare she?
Yeah, that's mm, yeah. It depends on
Tough
your
one.
priorities in life.
Yeah. But anyway, anything personal that you feel like sharing that you want to kind of?
No, I'm pretty content. You're much better at talking about your emotions. I'm kind of just like, yeah, feeling all right.
I have had
I what
years of
helps is
therapy practice. Just
okay.
yeah,
What I normally do is I just thinking of everything in long term situations. So if a day isn't particularly good, like I got an eye infection and a throat infection. I was cold earlier, so I had the morning gown on. Now I'm hot, so it's off. I'm getting cold again. I might put it back on. Not feeling too good today. Not feeling too good. It was
yeah.
a bit of a struggle doing anything today. I was like very low energy
Well,
coming into this.
I don't agree.
I
I
was
don't
like,
agree with that. Like you've been killing it. You look great. You sound great. The stories have been amazing.
I feel
Yeah,
like shit.
yeah. Like you've been hiding it very well.
So, but in general, I always think long term. For example, even if I finish a video and put it out and the video doesn't do as well as I expected it or hoped, I'm like, eh, I think long term, how is the video going to be received a year from now or 2 years from now? So I'm always kind of like going this way. I'm always thinking of like, okay, even I know I did Devil May Cry 2 recently, and that kind of didn't do very well. I think it was only like 10,000 views or something. It's like, people, I thought maybe it could have done well because it's a terrible, legitimately, well, not legitimately terrible, but it's the worst game in the series. Might be a bit fun. People were like, no, it's Devil May Cry 2. We don't like it. I was like, fair enough. All right.
I mean, 10,000 views.
Next up is
It's
Elden Ring, though.
it's
I know fuckers. Sorry.
yeah. People love Elden Ring. Yeah. I don't know. Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, you run the risk there. I think that's an interesting platinum journey, but also not a game enough people care about. So like they see
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 2 and they're like, I don't want to subject I don't even remember it because I hated it so much.
Yeah. But then with this upcoming Elden Ring thing, it's like that could be a huge episode, or it could be like, I don't know, did okay views wise, did okay, but
Is it,
I don't like I even I did like kind of Resident Evil 4, the remake, and it was a big long episode. And when it first came out, I got a couple of people that were saying like, "Damn, Adam, I was hoping this would be like it's a big game and it's recent, and they were hoping it would do better for me. They wanted me to see me do better." I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I'm not in charge of that," and it's doing fine. And now it's like a year later, and it's not even a year later. It's not like 6 months later. It's up to like 30,000 views. It's doing all right. And I can
Yeah.
see the analytics that every like day it's getting more and more stuff, and it's still one of the best performing videos over time. So I always think long term,
Yeah.
like the views in the first week don't matter as much as the views in the first year, which don't matter as many the views in the first 5 years. So thinking long term. So if Elden Ring bombs and Death Stranding bombs and Cyberpunk bombs,
Children.
if any of them are like a breakout, fantastic. But in general, I'm expecting them all to be just like they'll do fine, and the line is gradually going up.
Your time will come. It's gotta like you're putting out too much good work for too long. Like you gotta take off.
Yeah, but the internet isn't a meritocracy, is it?
No, no, it's not. Remember that one time? I feel like Game Maker's Toolkit tweeted about you. That was
Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah, that was really cool. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he is.
Got me extra 50 subs.
There you go. I would kill for 50 subs right now.
Yeah, I still have that tweet literally screenshotted and saved. And like, damn, someone I really respect and who's legitimately excellent recommended my stuff.
Oh yeah, like so that was actually something that I forget to appreciate, and I got to appreciate it more. I've worked with some game industry legends, like people that have
Hmm.
worked on. Well, I don't want to name drop it, but just because I feel like a silly boy, but just big games in history. In the history, like I am a small blip in video game history now. Like people that have been responsible for some big things have interacted with me, seen my work, praised me, so on and so forth, and that's really cool. It is a good
Hmm.
feeling. You admire somebody's work and respect their opinion, and when they express a positive opinion about you, it is like the best feeling in the world. Like, oh, I respect your opinion, and you're saying I'm good. Therefore, I must be good.
Yeah, it's the respect of your peers.
Yeah,
It's like, so if some folks, it's almost like it also it works the other way around. If someone says something disparaging about you, it's like, you don't know me. I don't care about your opinion.
yeah, that's true.
It's fine. So if in the very rare circumstance I get a mean comment, it happens so rarely.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's just I always think of the dude that when he's at the bowling alley with his friends and he's just like, that's just like your opinion,
yeah.
man.
I that movie is plastered all over the men's bathroom in the bowling alley near us. It's
It
just
should be.
posters and stuff like that. Just like, yeah, yeah, you know. What about Kingpin? Show me some Kingpin love. You
Mm,
guys remember that movie? No? All right, cool.
no,
It's another
no,
bowling movie.
I don't.
It's
I
actually
would.
more of a bowling movie than The Big Lebowski is.
The Big Lebowski is not a bowling
That's
movie
what
at
I'm
all.
saying. Like, people associate it with bowling. Clearly, that bowling place does, but Kingpin is actually about bowling.
So yeah, my life is pretty much set.
All
I'm
right.
pretty comfortable. Oh, and then the other thing is like, I don't know. Yeah, just if I'm living in some place that I can have my own apartment, and if I find the place like the city interesting enough, I could document the nights out on my phone. And be like, hey, here's a fun little 10-minute travel video about the place as well.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, but it's not a priority.
Yeah.
It's like a little bonus thing.
That's the thing about 2025. It's just such an unknown. It's the most unknown I've ever seen for a year for me in particular. But definitely
Yeah.
just kind of the landscape, with the gaming landscape especially. Who the heck knows what's going to happen this year with the way the industry? We are in a very what's the word? We're just it's going to be very, very different than the way that it's been. A lot of stuff has been building up to this year where change has to happen, and I feel like this is finally when it's going to.
Oh, here's an interesting thing that's video game related.
Yeah,
GTA 6 is actually coming out this year.
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it.
When do you think The Witcher 4 is going to come out?
Before I retire, I hope. I don't know. I would say 3 years, probably 2027. I would say actually, I'll say 2027.
So Randy, why did they make? I'm saying this in jest. Why they make Siri so ugly looking?
It's really messed up, isn't it? Like, don't
I think it's abhorrent.
yeah, don't they care about us men, us straight
Yeah.
white men that need attractive women? And those are the only ones that matter. Why do we need the other ones? And that's kind of messed up. Like, I don't know.
Unattractive women to me are invisible.
Well, they're visible to me, and I wish they weren't. That's where I'm at with it. On that note, 2024 was a year, and 2025 will be a year. Is there anything else you want to mention before we take off here? And
No, I'm pretty satisfied.
yeah, I'm glad.
My recent video did better than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
did that looking back at
Oh yeah, it's
2024,
a
which
heck
is
of a
normally a
thumbnail too.
video.
That's what.
Really?
Yeah, I thought so. Like when it popped up on my feed, I didn't even know it was yours. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. Like that looks. Oh, wait, that's Adam.
It's not the usual shitty stuff.
No,
my
no, it's
friends
just,
would
well,
say.
you've got a very particular style, right? Where it's usually the platinum journey, the game's logo or game's artwork with the platinum trophy on it.
Yeah,
That one was not.
normally for that I've done two others of these looking back at the year, and normally what I do is I take a sort of thumbnail, I divide into like three, three, and three, and I just put like little small images of like an Astro Boy, Astrobot, or
Yeah,
all these things, and I put the year. But I decided this time around, like let's make it. You can't really tell what they are, so I said, okay, let's just put the year there, and then put some of the characters around it, and then because with the Astrobot thing, you can find so many different poses. I was like,
yeah.
okay, let's scatter ye around everywhere.
I think if you think I'm judging your thumbnails, go ahead
Oh,
to
I
Randy
know,
Fluharty on YouTube and take a look at the
I
thumbnails,
know.
of
But I
which,
put out that video 2 hours before midnight, and I was like, I expected to kind of like just go like chum chum, and like people
yeah.
watching. It's now old. It's now done. I should have put out a week before the end of the year, but I was took a long time to make.
Well,
So
it's basically a year
it's
ago at this point.
yeah, I expected it to bomb, but it's actually doing okay. I was like, damn, that was a nice little surprise.
Yeah. So everybody
And I
listening,
was,
you probably already are, but go subscribe to Adam. Go check out that video. He does great work. That's Adam McDermott on YouTube.
thank, thank you. And also the comments in it are just divine. They're just, yeah, people are always so nice to me.
Yeah, most of them are pretty nice to me too. I feel good about that. It's another thing I got to appreciate. And if you want to be nice to me, go ahead and leave a comment here on this podcast. It makes me feel good when people comment about it. And if you're so inclined, do the subscribing thing and the liking thing, and check out the podcast platforms. It's going to be on Apple here any day now. It's going to happen. It's on the Spotify's and all that good stuff too.
Why didn't Tim Apple put it on Apple yet?
I don't know. Mainly because I didn't upload it yet. I can't blame that on Apple yet. Like that's not Apple's fault. I finally got my password changed, so I can do it, and I will do it for this this episode, and the rest of them will retroactively go up along with it.
I know. We definitely do blame Tim Apple though, right?
Oh yeah, Timothy Apple. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no jobs going in Apple for you that you're interested in.
No. I mean, if
Cool.
Apple came a knocking, sure, why not? Like,
I got to figure out what company we can talk shit about that
you can
you
talk
don't want to
about
work with.
any company you want, and if I sit here and nod politely, then that's what I'm gonna do. All right, Adam, thank you so much for being here. Please go check him out once again. And hey, I'm gonna be streaming here. Don't know when, but it's gonna happen. Stay tuned to Randy Fluharty at YouTube or on YouTube, whatever it is. Anyway, thanks everybody. I hope you guys had a great 2024, and I hope you have an amazing 2025. That's ours, and this is us. Here we are, signing off. I hit the music, probably. The past 2 episodes, I said I hit the music and then queued up the music as I said that. So now I have to talk a little bit to give me some room for the music. So here's that.
Sure.
Right. And I think that's probably enough. I got it playing in my head. I think that's probably enough. Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Bye.
2 weeks. We'll see you on January something. 16th is the second. Yeah, so 16th. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye.